If the latest iPhone 18 Pro Max leaks are even half true, Apple's 2026 flagship could be one of the biggest iPhone upgrades in years. In this video, we're breaking down the most talked about iPhone 18 Pro Max rumored features, camera upgrades, battery life, performance with the next-gen A20 Pro Chip, a refined display design, and major connectivity improvements like satellite communication. And yes, we'll also touch on the foldable iPhone rumors that could launch alongside it. Just a quick note before we dive in. Everything you're about to hear is based on early leaks, supply chain chatter, and industry rumors. Apple hasn't confirmed these details, and specs can change before launch. With that said, let's get into what the iPhone 18 Pro Max could bring to the table. First up, the iPhone 18 Pro Max release date. Apple typically sticks to a predictable schedule, and right now the strongest expectation is a September 2026 launch window. That timing lines up with Apple's usual fall event strategy, and it's exactly why the rumor mill is already heating up. Because by this point in the cycle, early prototype details and component talk often start surfacing. Now, let's talk about the headline feature most people care about, the iPhone 18 Pro Max camera system. According to multiple iPhone 18 Pro Max leaks, Apple is testing a major photography shift, potentially led by variable aperture technology. In simple terms, that means the camera lens could physically, or effectively, adjust how much light it lets in depending on the scene. That's huge, because smartphone cameras usually rely heavily on computational tricks to simulate what dedicated cameras do naturally. A variable aperture would help the iPhone 18 Pro Max capture brighter low-light shots without blowing out highlights, while also delivering more natural background blur and depth of field in portraits. So instead of every photo looking processed, means the goal would be cleaner detail, better contrast, and more realistic subject separation, especially in challenging lighting like indoor scenes, night city shots, or sunsets where phones often struggle. And then there's the wild rumor, a 200 megapixel primary sensor. Now, to be clear, megapixels alone don't guarantee better photos. Sensor size, lens quality, and image processing matter just as much, sometimes more. But if Apple really does move to a 200 megapixel main camera, it could unlock several real-world benefits: sharper detail when you crop in, improved texture in landscapes, and potentially more flexibility for computational zoom without the image falling apart. Some leaks also suggest Apple may push its triple camera setup further with stacked sensor technology. The basic idea here is faster readout speeds and better data handling, which could reduce motion blur, improve HDR performance, and deliver more accurate colors, especially in tricky mixed lighting like restaurants, concerts, or bright daylight, with deep shadows. And speaking of zoom, don't be surprised if iPhone 18 Pro Max camera rumors keep emphasizing stronger long-range clarity. Better zoom usually comes down to a mix of upgraded optics and smarter processing, and Apple has been steadily improving here. If the iPhone 18 Pro Max really gets new sensor architecture plus improved zoom, it could be a serious tool for travel, sports shots, and creator content where you can't physically get closer to the subject. Now let's move to the next big everyday upgrade, iPhone 18 Pro Max battery life. Leaks point to a battery around the 5,200 mAh range. If Apple pairs that with software, optimization, and a more efficient chip, it could translate into real all-day and possibly two-day performance for many users. That means longer gaming sessions, more video recording, more streaming, more navigation, and less battery anxiety. Battery is one of those features that doesn't always sound exciting in a spec sheet, but it completely changes how a phone feels day to day. If you've ever owned a phone that forces you to think about charging all the time, you know exactly why this matters. And that brings us to performance. The rumored A20 Pro Chip. Multiple iPhone 18 Pro Max leaks suggest Apple could use a 2-in-1 process for the A20 Pro. If that happens, the biggest benefits would likely be efficiency and sustained performance. In other words, faster app launches, smoother multitasking, stronger gaming performance, and better thermal control, so the phone can stay fast without heating up and throttling. For creators and power users, that could mean quicker video edits, faster photo processing, smoother high frame rate gameplay, and better performance in demanding tasks like AI features, real-time filters, and advanced computational photography, and yes, charging matters too. While exact numbers are unclear, faster charging support is expected to remain a focus. Even small improvements here are meaningful, because a faster top-up during a short break can be the difference between running out of battery and making it through your day. Now let's talk design, because the iPhone 18 Pro Max display could be getting one of its most noticeable visual upgrades. One of the biggest rumors is a smaller dynamic island, or at least a less intrusive cutout, thanks to under-display Face ID. If Apple actually pulls that off, it would be a major step toward a cleaner, more immersive front screen. Some leaks also mention a punch-hole selfie camera approach, which would reduce visual clutter even further. Pair that with thinner bezels and higher peak brightness, and the iPhone 18 Pro Max could feel more modern instantly, especially for users coming from older models. Higher brightness also isn't just a nice-to-have. It directly improves outdoor readability, HDR video, and gaming visibility in sunlight. And if you care about style, there's talk of a new deep red color option. Apple loves using color as a way to refresh the lineup, and a bold red Pro Max would definitely stand out in a sea of black, grey, silver, and muted tones. Now let's get into one of the most futuristic parts of these iPhone 18 Pro Max rumors: connectivity. The biggest phrase you'll hear is real-time satellite communication, sometimes described as 5G over satellite, though that wording can be misleading depending on the tech implementation. The main promise is this: connectivity. In places where normal cellular networks don't work. Imagine hiking, road tripping, traveling in remote regions, or dealing with emergencies where you have no signal. If Apple expands satellite features beyond basic SOS and messaging into broader voice and data capabilities, it could genuinely change how people think about phone coverage. On top of that, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to support the newest wireless standards like Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6. That may sound like background tech, but it impacts everything. Faster and more stable Wi-Fi in crowded areas, improved latency for gaming and streaming, better audio stability with wireless earbuds, and smoother device-to-device connections. Ultra-wideband enhancements are also expected, which could mean more precise location tracking for things like finding devices, smart home interactions, and proximity-based features that Apple has been investing in for years. Now let's address the question everyone types into Google: iPhone 18 Pro Max price. Early expectations suggest Apple could keep the starting price similar to the previous generation, with a base around $199 for the Pro Max tier. Nothing is confirmed, and pricing always depends on storage tiers and market conditions. But if Apple holds that line while adding major hardware upgrades, it would be a strong value proposition in the premium flagship category. Next, we need to talk about the other massive rumor floating around: the foldable iPhone. According to ongoing reports, Apple may finally be preparing a foldable iPhone model, possibly around the same era as the iPhone 18 lineup. The key phrase that keeps popping up is a crease-free internal display. That's basically the holy grail for foldables, because the visible crease has been the biggest complaint in the category. Other rumored foldable iPhone details include a dual battery system for better power distribution and integrated Touch ID for secure authentication, potentially as an alternative or complement to Face ID, especially if the design constraints of a foldable demand different sensor placement. If Apple enters the foldable market, expect it to aim for a premium, polished experience rather than rushing out a first-gen experiment. But again, this is rumor territory. Exciting, but not guaranteed.